I would like to welcome you all to our webinar on Big Data Monetization, which I will share with you through a case study we did together with Slovak Telekom, Orange, and O2 in Europe. And then I would like to outline further what are the potentials so that you can have an idea what data monetization could potentially mean for your business in your local country. So the general outline of what I would like to share with you today is, first of all, what's kind of the difference or what's behind technology and the business applicability. We hear a lot about what sort of technologies are used. We hear a lot about how big data is being implemented in companies, but we hear less about what's the potential of this and what the revenue coming out of it should be. The next step, what I would like to share with you, is the approach we took at Slovak Telekom and Orange here in Europe. And then finally, I would like to go over what's the potential for monetization at a telco or at a bank. I'm not sure if the slides were visible up till now. I think I had a minor technical issue there, but I hope all is fine as of now. So let me jump into what sort of data is out there and how do we use them. So we have Google, we have Facebook, LinkedIn. A lot of different businesses generate a huge amounts of data about us as customers. They they have a lot of information about how we behave, what we prefer, etc., etc. Now, it's a question of if this should be scary or if it's okay, and how do we benefit from it as customers. Typically, data and data monetization begins with kind of a number of different steps, and we like to refer to this as kind of the Maslow big data monetization pyramid, where first of all a company needs to identify what's the opportunity of data, what sort of data I have available. Then it needs to figure out what sort of technology is to be used so that the data can be stored, so that the calculations on top of the data can be done. And then the next steps are using the data, first of all, within the company, and then using the data to actually generate new business. And this kind of component of generating new business is what a lot of people have been referring to as the golden egg, the new business potential for many companies. So that's where they're expecting new revenue to come from. But is it really a golden egg? So is it really a golden egg, and what's the opportunity there behind it? Well, once upon a time, there was such a thing, was first found as an egg. No one knew how to use it. It was this funny thing lying on the ground near the nest of a bird. They didn't know if they should eat it or if they should cook it. How long should they cook it? How will it taste? And what if they like it? Will their stomach be okay? And the same thing is happening with data analytics. People can't really imagine how they can use the data, how they can benefit from it, and they need to learn these sorts of things in terms of the applicability of data. So the issues behind big data monetization, so getting to that top of the pyramid, there are a number of issues to really reap the benefits of data and bring in new revenue from the data. First kind of problem is that there's a strong technology fixation. So it's everyone is saying what sort of big data technologies they need. IT departments are focused on acquiring this technology, but there's typically and very often there are no direct business cases behind the procurement of this technology. Now, no doubt that the technology is needed and it's a kind of prerequisite, as I showed in that pyramid, to get there, but there hasn't been such a shift to the use cases behind it. Then there's this kind of big fixation of business, on the other hand, on the potential value. So this idea of how much this data is worth and what's the potential behind it, and a lot of interesting business opportunities go missed because they feel that the potential is higher in other areas and nothing is done. Then, of course, there's the regulatory perspective or problem, where data is highly protected in the European Union as well as abroad, what you're allowed to do with data. So you have to be very careful at the way you use the data, at the way you anonymize the data, and at the level of outputs that you provide. And the fourth main problem is the willingness of pay. So once you've created something from the data, are companies actually going to be willing to pay for it, and how much are they going to be willing to pay for the outputs? But at the end of the day, the rewards can be very high and tempting, especially in a world of telco or banks where revenues have been stagnating. So just to kind of clarify where I'm heading with this. So we hear a lot about technology. We hear a lot about different big data stacks, about analytical tools, about dashboarding tools, BI tools. And these are all very useful, but if we want to get monetary value in the way that Google does or Facebook does, we want to talk about what's the use case behind it. So on the other side of the table, we have Google Analytics, Google AdWords, Facebook, LinkedIn. So solutions that are leveraging the data they know about the customers, and they provide a new solution on top of this. And this is kind of the approach we took with the big data monetization at Slovak Telekom, at Orange, and at O2 here in Europe. So kind of creating this Google AdWords and Google Analytics for the brick and mortar world of telcos and banks. So what are the use cases? Let's first ask ourselves, what are the things that companies, businesses, or users would be willing to pay for? Let's say I, as a business owner, am interested in what are the most dense areas with people in certain hours? Where do frequent travelers go? What's the age distribution in each part of the town? How to contact people in the event of an earthquake? How do people watch TV? So these are business questions or government-related questions that we understand businesses would be willing to pay for. And maybe one of these use cases is a good first step on our road to monetization. So let me share with you an experience that happened here in Europe, and what was the path actually to successfully monetizing the data of Slovak Telekom and of Orange. What's with telco providers and banks? What's the challenge that they're facing? Well, it's first of all that the markets are becoming saturated. This is the same in all parts of the world as people are taking on mobile services. At some point, the market is completely or more than completely saturated, as in Europe is the case in many countries, with a saturation of about 130%. Then there's over-the-top disruptions from all sorts of services that leverage the network of telco providers but don't necessarily bring in new revenue. And then there's the limited and shrinking average revenue per customer from the core services as customers are expecting higher quality for a lower price. On the other hand, telco providers have a huge opportunity with the wealth of data they have about their customers, and this data can be extremely valuable for other businesses and organizations. Then, on the other hand, it's also these customers which are available to be communicated at. And the solution we came up here was to create a unique data-centric B2B service for analytics and marketing in the physical world, and position the telco providers as kind of innovative leaders in the use of data and value-added services. So what was the process at these telco providers? How did we approach the data monetization project? Well, first of all, we had to understand what sort of data was available, in which systems was this data available. We needed to put it into one location and enrich the data maybe from other services as well. Then we had to figure out how to efficiently store that amount of data and how to create a business case for the technology around it. A very important point is ensuring the maximum security and anonymity of the data. So being compliant with the strict data and personal privacy laws which are around the world. So it's extremely important to, within the data monetization project, to approach this issue with utmost care to make sure that at the end of the day, your end customers' data is secure, protected, and that their anonymity is not compromised. And then what we did is we decided, based on the business requirements, that we wanted to combine it into this data that we had into a solution which combines the insights and the communication possibilities that a telco provider has. So first of all, creating a targeted marketing offering, and second of all, creating a population analytics offering and combining these two into one solution, so that I, as a business, understand where certain target groups are located, and I, as a business, am able to communicate at them in a very similar way as what I'm used to in the online world. So what came out of this effort here in Europe and what's rolling out globally now is what we call Market Locator, which is a web-based solution which combines these two worlds. So on the one hand side is the accessible data analytics, understanding where people are located, understanding the demographic profiles of certain areas, understanding from where to where people of a certain target group travel, etc. And by the way, you can try the solution out for yourself currently on Slovak Data on www.marketlocator.sk. There's a free trial period, so you can try it out for yourself. And the second kind of step was then creating that targeted marketing, targeted communication offering. So bringing in the different channels that a telco provider or a bank has available, let's say SMS, email, some visual forms through digital billboards, etc., and providing these in a self-service campaigning solution in analogous way to what Google and Facebook do. So what were the results in Europe? Well, first of all, since the solution is self-service and a lot of companies sign up on their own, use the solution on their own, so it's a very similar kind of environment as what these companies, retail stores, Starbuckses, banks, and local municipalities, very similar approach to what they're used to having available in the online world. So it's the ability to create your own campaign, create your own target group, understand this target group and their behavior, and apply this insight and apply these channels to benefit your business. So in the first year, 2,000 B2B customers, or better said, B2C customers, so businesses which communicate or need to understand their customers, signed up for the solution on a market which has only 5 million inhabitants, so on a very small kind of pilot market. We provided data from and channels from 3 different partners, so from T-Mobile, Slovak Telekom on the local market, from Orange Slovakia, and from O2 Slovakia. The solution is currently expanding into further countries, so coming to markets near you. And what's really interesting is that from a new service which doesn't cannibalize on kind of core business of the telco, we were able to generate an additional 1 million euros of revenue. Now, in the context of a larger telco, let's say, for an example, a telco with 10 million subscribers, this presents a yearly net profit, so kind of bottom line impact potential of 20 million euros. So just from using the data you have to store anyway today, using that data for a new purpose, giving that data a value which is accessible to other companies, you can start generating pretty significant new revenue, which would cover also the cost for your technology, big data technology that anyway you want to implement. And since it's taken some time to develop, the go live time now is very fast, and we believe in this kind of global approach to doing big data monetization. So providing a global service which companies across all countries can use. So we provide it on a kind of revenue share model. Is there really business there? Well, in just this kind of first level approach where you use your data for targeted marketing, where you use your data for population analytics, numbers from the US show that just last year alone, $42 billion in the US were spent on mobile advertising. Another $5 billion on location information services. So understanding information about how many people spend time in a certain area, typically done in complicated projects involving manually counting the number of people entering some place, etc. So the business potential of you as a telco or of you as a bank using your data to create a new service is pretty enormous. So this is the kind of first level. The first level is understanding or bringing in kind of those first dollars from your data. And for this purpose, using the solution, using your data for targeted marketing and for providing some insights to companies is very quick to get off the ground. Typically, you have a lot of the infrastructure, a lot of the data already available, and you can very quickly bring in revenue to cover more complex future applications. And this is something I would like to share with you next. So once you've started bringing in the benefits from big data, what are the next things you can use this big data for? Well, for example, a lot of the use cases should probably be centered and focused around actually moving us as a society forward. So about bringing in new value that impacts not just businesses and improves the business environment in each of your countries, but that also improves the lives of each of us within our society. So be it, for example, smart cities, search and rescue optimization, Amber Alerts, public notifications. So understanding where and how people move around in the physical world. You as banks are in a very unique position to provide this sort of insight. So it would be a pity not to use it. So it's not just about that part about selling analytics and marketing to businesses, but it should be more about, or in the future, of using this insight, of using that capability to provide smart governments with information about planning their roads. It should be about smart municipalities understanding the footfall, and it should be about smart communication with people. Let's go through a couple examples. Amber Alert. Imagine a family member goes lost, goes missing. What would the police do? Announce the missing person. There would be maybe a newswire, and maybe you would be going around with friends looking for that person. Isn't there a better way to do this? Well, as a telco provider, you have a very good opportunity of highly targeted communication towards communities in a certain area. So authorities could have access to Amber Alert functionality, which provides them the opportunity to deliver messages in a certain area with a lot of information about the person that went missing, and about the possibility to get back very quickly and inform the authorities that this person has been found or where they can be found. Lost and found. Let's say your dog goes missing. What can you do? Again, you can contact news, print leaflets, put them on the streets, but isn't there a better way that you could be doing this? And isn't there a better way you as a telco could be helping your community? Again, people could access your certain portal free of charge, where they could help, where they could deliver messages to a certain area, add information about the missing pet, and send out messages to people in that given area. And this would be your form of providing corporate social responsibility in a way that uniquely only you as a telco provider could be doing. Local news and announcements. So when there is an accident somewhere, or you need to communicate with people in a certain area, again, you want to have an efficient way of, first of all, understanding maybe how many people are impacted, and of communicating with these potentially. So it's about providing a new unique service to municipalities, to governmental agencies, to National Park Service authorities, etc., with a simple communication method that allows them to communicate with those people and to understand the throughput of people in a certain area. So if I'm in charge of a national park, I want to understand and have analytical insight exactly how many people visited my park, what parts of that park they visited, from where they came to where they are headed, what's the social demographic profile, etc., etc. And yes, I could be somehow collecting these data upon their arrival, but definitely not such a rich insight into what's happening there. And then also the ability to communicate at a certain target group of people, let them know about interesting things, interesting events going on right now. And this ability, provide this as a new service to local governments and local municipalities. Search and rescue. Let's say right now, as there were the terrible earthquakes in Italy, you as a search and rescue team and you as a government want to understand how many people were impacted. In what parts were these people impacted? Are they okay? Where should I organize the search and rescue first? How do I collect donations to rebuild these places? Well, there's nothing easier than understanding how many people were in the given area of an earthquake based on telco data. There's the possibility to understand the distributions of these people. So what age were these people? And the ability to create for you as a telco a specific list of impacted people and to try to follow up with them with simple reply back messages. Let me know if you are okay. If you're okay, send the message okay. If you're not okay, let me know, and the search and rescue will try to get to you as soon as possible. And then ultimately, we want to leverage big data to make our lives as a society of a higher quality. So to have better air quality, to reduce congestion, to improve available infrastructure, to improve transportation, to improve how and where hospitals are located. So we want governments and municipalities and hospital directors to understand the number and dynamics of people traveling to and from certain locations. So we want to understand the profile and catchment areas for events and combine various sources of data, be it open governmental health data with private data to deliver insights about crime, real estate, health, and safety. To understand from where do 25% of people who work in this area come, from how far do 75% of people come, and to use this data to build a higher quality life. And these are all kind of external applications of the data you have available today about your customers, where they are during the day with their mobile phones, what's their profile, what web pages they browse, and the kind of information that may be used today for your internal marketing, but you're not using to bring in new value. So the question we set out at the beginning, is it a golden egg that everyone is saying? We believe that it is a golden egg, and we believe that with the approach we have taken here on the European market, we have found a way to crack this egg open, to bring in a new service to a telco provider, bring in new revenue to a telco provider that pays for their infrastructure, that pays for the data analytics that they want to build upon it for internal purposes, and to bring this solution to them in a quick and reliable fashion and allow a telco provider or even a bank. We built the solution to be kind of platform or data provider and data and channel provider independent platform, so that we can provide through one solution insights of bank data, insights of telco data, and the communication capabilities behind it. That's kind of the top of the waves introduction into data monetization that I wanted to share with you today. I will be more than happy to discuss the potential further with you on a call or on a more deep webex, where I will be happy to explain how we tackled the legal problems behind it, what's the specific potential in one or another country, and how we actually managed to bring in several different providers in one solution. So it's not just a T-Mobile specific solution, but on one market, we're able to provide the insight from 3 different groups of providers, be it Deutsche Telekom Group with Slovak Telekom, Orange Group with Orange Slovakia, and former Telefonica Group with O2. If you have any questions or comments to this, please do share them with me. You have my email address listed here on the slide. I will be sending out as a follow-up to all of you that were so kind to attend a short white paper that we have on our thoughts and experiences with data monetization. And I will be very much looking forward to any of your experiences, what and how such solutions were maybe delivered on your market, and what the potential has been on your market. So thank you very much, and hope to get in touch with you at some point.